Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Fowl Territory 374. Gizzard Gary here, bringing you a brand new week. So welcome one and all to the show. It is Monday, the last day of August the 31st. All right, so here we go. Let's go out there in the chat. Let's see who we got out there. Gun Websites was first with, wow, a free live show we can all be a part of. That's indeed what this is. Dale Pogue is out there. We have Denny's Plant-Based Journey. We also have Rich White out there, and waiting in the back, we have Pack Rat's Addict out there. He says, I learned that moving sucks. That's right. It is that time. Mm-hmm. Also, Alex Parlin is out there. So you've heard his voice. Now you can see his logo. Let's welcome Rich White from the Unloaded Media Channel. Good evening.
Yo,
Packrat says, our last night in this place, moving from one part of San Antonio to another. Yes. So you're not going far.
Right. Didn't they just move to San Antonio? You think they would have got the idea that moving sucks? But
yeah, well, a year ago or something like that. I think not that long. Yeah, but I think they're getting into a place instead of an apartment. So I hope everything goes well with that. Thank you for letting me know your package got there. I had sent them a package, and last night I thought initially my tracking on the package showed that it had been returned and delivered. Nobody was at the address, but they tried it again today and it did get delivered. So all's well that ends well out there. Packrat says 1.9 miles. San Antonio is a pretty good sized city. I will tell you that much. Not as big as Houston, but it's a big city. So, yeah, we have a giveaway later on in the show, hashtag FT374 for your chance to enter. I want to remind everybody we are also live on Twitch and Rumble, and you can enter on those platforms also. If you are viewing us from Twitch or Rumble, hello out there. Say hi out there in the chat. And so what's going on, Rich? You just had a show last night.
Yeah.
And you had some pretty interesting results with that. Do you want to tell the audience what happened?
Yeah. Looked earlier today, and we've gotten over 1,100 views on that show.
On a live stream.
On a live stream, yes.
I don't think I've ever had more than 200 or so on a live stream, and that's rare. It's usually around 100.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so that's incredible. But it did not result in subscribers, or not a significant amount anyway.
No, none. So, not one.
None, not one. I want to say hello to J Delta 22NC out there. All right. He was on Ron 2A Matters chat earlier. I did stop in to say hi. And those two are usually hanging out.
I think some of the bigger channels are copying, because I also noticed that a bunch of them are doing videos on the ATF director's X comments that we covered last night.
Well, there's only so much news to go around. Yeah. I mean, to have a topic exclusively to you is pretty much impossible.
They're just a bunch of copycats.
Yeah, they're copying off you. They saw your show, and it's like, we need to talk about
hey, this guy with only this many subs got 1,100 views. If I do that, I can get.
So Ozzy's out there, Ozzy Osbourne. He says, so you can buy views now. Rich is way too tight to buy views. Trust me.
It ain't tight. It's poor.
Well, well, one kind of goes with the other. You got to be tight when you're poor. We also have Alaska One, Andy. All right, so we've got 10 people. We've got a small gathering, shall we say? So yeah, that was at least pretty good news. I'm not real sure. Yeah, I wish something like that would happen to me, but I noticed I happened to be looking I decided I was going to start releasing some videos on my Gizzard Gary Reviews channel, which I usually do Amazon videos on, but I hadn't done anything since last August, September, maybe October. Anyway, I didn't realize that I was well over 1,000 subscribers on that channel now, so I'm going to have to get busy. I may actually end up eventually porting this program over on both channels. I could do that. Not that anybody would watch on my other channel, but it's like, hey, you want to watch it on 2 different YouTube channels? You can if you want to, I suppose. Really make it confusing. Then people entering the giveaway would, yeah, that'd be fun.
Or after the fact, take clips from this channel and then put them in the show and put them over on the other channel. I know there's YouTube channels that do that. They'll have their live stream on their main channel and then take clips and put it on their second channel.
So we got Marco Polo out there. Good evening. Excuse me. So I don't have any other panelists so far. I have not heard from Guns Barbecue, and Mr. Foss is probably working tonight. So yeah, there's that. So looks like at least for now, it's just going to be Rich and I, and we're going to have to solve the world's problems all by ourselves. So, which is sad, but we'll do it, by golly. G-Web says fake. Oh no, this show is 100% real. Rich is 100% real. He can prove it if he has to.
Mm-hmm.
I won't make him turn his camera on because he's probably got 6 cats on his shoulders and stuff like that.
No. If the cat tried laying on my shoulder right now, I'd kill it. That would not feel too good. My neck and shoulders are still killing me.
So for those of you who follow my channel, you know that I did a video on the console vault in-vehicle safe a couple 3 weeks ago. I was actually sent one of those by the console vault company. And I saw an article today on Bearing Arms. Kind of made me think about that, so I thought we'd talk about it tonight. So let's put it on the screen and we'll talk about it. It's a short article, hopefully not too boring. And it says, a survey highlights millions of Americans leaving guns in cars, but also tells why. The author, Tom Knighton, says, I'm not a big fan of the so-called research surrounding firearms in this country. Too much of it is built around trying to justify gun control, and it's pretty damn obvious once you know what to look for. Then there are those studies we never see because the data is inconvenient. But when someone gets it right, well, then it's usually someone like John Locke. This time, though, a survey makes the claim that millions of Americans leave guns unattended in cars, but it also asks why. And quoting here, about 1 in 4 American gun owners leaves a firearm unattended in a vehicle at least occasionally, according to new research published in Injury Epidemiology. I guess that's a publication, never heard of it. These studies suggest that concerns about personal safety, everyday convenience, and laws prohibiting guns inside public establishments frequently prompt owners to leave weapons in cars. Most of these firearms are handguns, placed in easily accessible spots like center consoles and glove compartments rather than locked vehicle safes. Over the past decade, carrying firearms outside the home has grown increasingly common across the United States. For instance, a 2022 study estimated that about 16 million American adults carried a loaded handgun on a monthly basis, roughly doubling estimates from just a few years earlier. At the same time, personal safety concerns often guide how individuals transport and store their weapons. Evidence from a 2023 study across 5 states indicated that people who felt heightened personal threat or viewed their neighborhoods as unsafe carried firearms more often and were more prone to keeping them in accessible, unsecured places. Big shock, I know. But after it makes the argument that about 21.8 million Americans leave a gun in their car sometimes and get into demographic stuff, we get to the useful part, at least from my perspective. As noted, they ask why. Quoting again here, when asked about their reasons, the most common primary motivation was encountering legal rules that prohibited carrying firearms into specific places, such as workspaces, schools, government buildings, or businesses that serve alcohol. Other leading reasons included wanting immediate access to a firearm for personal protection, having a designated storage spot in the vehicle, and everyday convenience. I'd emphasize that this is not about assigning blame to firearms owners, Testa told SciPost. Many people who leave firearms in vehicles are doing so because they cannot bring them into workplaces or other gun-free locations. Only recently have safes and other devices designed to securely store a firearm in a vehicle became available for sale, and it's still not the norm to install these in your vehicle. That's why practical solutions matter, Testa added. We still need to figure out best practices for how to reduce firearm thefts from vehicles, and doing so is a violence prevention strategy that firearm owners, law enforcement, and public health researchers can all agree on. In other words, they're leaving guns in the cars because they can't carry them inside. That's what's missing from a lot of the official discussions about vehicle gun thefts. These aren't people leaving guns in the car sitting in their driveways. They're people who are going to work or going somewhere else where they can't carry a firearm. It's not irresponsibly driving this. It's people trying to follow the law, even if it's stupid or inconvenient. So what's a typical response? To create new legislation that punishes the gun owner who appears to often be trying to do what's right by the same laws that now seek to punish them. And Testa making it clear that this isn't the fault of gun owners, or that he's not saying so, is a nice change of pace because it doesn't put me on the defensive. He seems to understand that you cannot fault someone for being victimized because they complied with the law. That's just insane, really. I'm not a fan of having car guns, and I think that if you're going to, get a vehicle safe that's secured to the vehicle itself. But you have the right to do so, and you're still the victim if your gun gets stolen. Testa also seems to see it that way too, based on these quotes. I'd love it if lawmakers would sit down with gun owners to address the issue rather than immediately trying to punish them for it. It would be a nice change of pace, kind of like this survey turned out to be, even if there are still issues with it. All right. So what do you think about that? People are leaving guns in their vehicles, Rich. Did you know that?
No, I would have never guessed.
I've done it. I'm one of those guys that had to carry a gun to work every day and leave it in my vehicle because guess what? I worked in a nuclear power plant that was under NRC rules, and it was a violation of federal law to take a firearm in there. So no, I did not carry in there. And there are times, even now, when I will go out to eat with my kids on the weekends and they will choose to go to a place, what basically amounts to a bar or a beer joint that serves lunch. But it is primarily a drinking establishment, and they also do not allow carry in there, state law. So those times, yes, I do have to lock my EDC up in my vehicle, as much as I hate to do that, because, well, especially when I worked, if you'd have tried to carry in there, it didn't end well because you went through metal detectors and stuff and they'd find it. It wasn't like you were going to conceal carry and get away with it. It wasn't going to happen. Into a bar, maybe. And I know if you choose to do that, yeah, that's on you. Do you ever have that problem, Rich?
Yeah, I got a whole state that I live next door to that I have to keep the gun locked in the car in a safe, in the magazine in a different location.
And you have a lockable gun safe.
Yeah, got one of those ones that the rectangular shaped thing that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say where I put it, but I have one.
That's what I had before the console vault, and at least in the old Jeep, it went under the driver's seat, and it had a braided steel cable that you looped around one of the seat posts, and no, nobody's going to take the seat bolts loose to get it out of there.
The Maverick has a place that intentionally is designed for these kinds of safes, hidden in some place that I'm not going to say where.
Well, it would behoove you not to. So that's good. Now, since I have the console vault, I have the ability to lock up my gun in my center console, and you would literally have to destroy the center console. And I mean, literally cut it apart with tools to get in there. Is it impossible? No. No safe is impossible to break into, but it's pretty secure. There's not going to be any smash and grabs. Let's put it that way. So let's see. Packrat says most of us carry daily. That's true. I would think in this audience, yes. Denny says, I use a safe in my truck, but I rarely leave one in the vehicle and never unsecured. We've got another panelist because the chat ruiner is finally here to ruin our chat this evening. Guns and Barbecue is here.
Hello.
Hello there. How are you?
Not too bad. I apologize for my tardiness. There's some weird crap happening outside that has had my attention.
It's all right. Life happens. I just read an article. I'm not going to reread the article again, obviously, but it has to do with a survey of gun owners, and evidently, lots of people, for some reason or another, leave vehicles in their guns, and they found out the reason is typically because they're going somewhere where they're not allowed to carry, and they have to leave them in their vehicles.
Can I ask what kind of vehicles they're leaving in their guns? These sounds like really big guns in the first place. It's really impressive.
Yeah, 155 millimeter howitzers.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Anyway,
wow.
you know what I meant. Yeah, I get my words. I'm dyslexic, but not with letters. It's with whole words. But anyway, yeah, I put my foot in it there. But yeah, sometimes you're carrying your gun. You want to have it in your vehicle when you're going someplace, but you're not allowed. When I went to work, I wasn't allowed to carry at work. There's other examples, but the survey was actually positive. It did give the reasons why people would do that. And then Rich and I were discussing, we were talking about the console vault that I put in my car. And before that, I used the safe, the rectangular small safe that has the cable and stuff. So do you ever find yourself in a position you're in a vehicle and have to leave your gun behind for some reason?
Yeah, that's happened plenty of times. There's been times where I've gone somewhere and, I might get close to the entrance and realize they got metal detectors.
Yeah.
Didn't see that happening.
Yeah, courthouses where I used to work had metal detectors, x-ray machines too. So, yeah.
So there's that. Let's say you have to go to the school to get your child.
Yes. Well, yeah, if you get out and go in the building, yeah.
Let's say, and some people say, "Oh, you're not even allowed to have a gun on school property within 1,000 feet or whatever." There are a few exceptions. One of those is like, "Hey, Mr. Berger, we need you to come in and get your kid. They're vomiting profusely." Well, if I was already out and about and I had my carry on me, the law doesn't expect me to run home, throw that, in my safe, and then go to the school and get my child. There are some instances where you could still have that on school property, just not on your person, like left in your glove box while the car is locked and you go in and get your kid, blah, blah, blah.
Or at least in my state, having a concealed carry permit.
Yeah. Another one, just life happens and you got to go to the emergency room. There's a lot of things that could happen that would facilitate having to leave your firearm in your car that you just weren't able to plan for. And I realize some would say, well, you should just have a console safe or seat vault or whatever to be prepared for those times. But when I could still see and drive, the amount of times that I would have ever needed to utilize one of those, it wouldn't have been worth the cost. Because one, if you are going into a courthouse per se, really, what are the odds? Because at least around here, a lot of times the sheriff's department is at the courthouse and whatnot. So what are the odds that you're going to run into a situation where, some brazen criminal robbed my car, for all the change and everything else, and they happen to find my firearm right in front of the sheriff's department, and in my case, the city police department, as well as, whoever else could be walking in and out of the courthouse. Not saying it's not going to happen, but not that likely. So, yeah, I will say, though, I do believe that anywhere that has metal detectors in place to say you can't carry here, especially if it's not all the time. Say it's like a concert venue, depending on certain things, they might have metal detectors, and then the next time that you go, they might not have metal detectors. Either way, I think if metal detectors are in use to ensure that you are disarmed, I think they should have to provide a place to safely lock up your firearms while you're in the venue.
All right, real quick, there's a couple people. Ms. Packrat is out there and has joined us. Also, Stephen Sheets, who says, my birthday is in 4 days. I'm going to be 33 years old. He's out there. Ron 2A Matters has joined us, by the way. Ozzy says, I have a safe that came with a cable. I don't use the cable. It's bolted to the floor. That's probably more secure than the cable. For sure. Denny said, oh, I already read that comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, our courthouse, you only go through metal detector if you're actually going into the court portion of the courthouse. Downstairs has where the tax offices and stuff are. You can carry in there, but if you go upstairs to the actual courtroom is and the judge's office and all that, you can't carry there. As soon as you get to the top of the staircase is where the metal detector is.
It's just the opposite here because the courthouse is on the lower level where you enter, but it's off to the left down a long corridor, and there's a guard station right there. But if you go upstairs to where all the other offices are, you don't have to go through that. So
yeah,
I carry in there all the time. So.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the front door to the courthouse, you got this massive staircase that goes upstairs to where the courtroom is. And then you off to this one side, you got the assessor's office, and on the other side, you have it's one of the other business offices. I forget which one off the top of my head. And then there's a hallway on each side as well.
So you can't go upstairs. I can. Mm-hmm. I can't go downstairs. Well, just out the main entrance, about it. Well, you'd have to see the courthouse. There's a center lobby, and then there's a corridor that goes down the courtroom. What was you saying, Barbecue? I'm sorry.
I say my county courthouse, you walk through the front doors, and there's a metal detector.
Backrat's Attic says, I remember carrying for the first time in uniform at the courts, kind of a strange feeling. Denny says, I'm with barbecue on that. They should provide gun lockers at some of these places. Wood says, believe it or not, all courts here in Western Washington, you can check your gun going into court. I've done it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, what's funny, when my youngest daughter and her husband got to meet today, are you? No, he's like, oh, thank you. I don't. He's like, I don't want to have to take your gun from you.
Yeah. That would not be good. But yeah,
like, he knew I carried because he saw me with, on the first floor with one day I was open carrying while we were in the courthouse.
I think most of us, I mean, the article did go out of its way to say that they didn't think that most people were just stashing car guns in their car and leaving them out there in the driveway. Yes, there are people who do that, but most of them are leaving them in their car because they have to for some reason or another. So the article was fair. It wasn't painting gun owners in a bad light or anything like that. Denny says, here, there is one entrance for the public. You must go through the metal detectors and then the elevators to the appropriate floor. You cannot have a knife, perceived weapon, firearm, etc. Sam of Anarchy says, it's rare I go into a courthouse or most other places that have a metal detector, but I appreciate the help because having a safe in my truck would be handy. He was talking about, he had asked about my console vault. They don't make safes for every vehicle, but a lot of popular vehicles, most Ford products, by the way, most of the more popular Ford models anyway, because most of them kind of share consoles anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and with Ford, I don't know if they still offer it, but if you ordered one on their website or through your dealer, that was an available installed option when you ordered the truck or car. If they had
and they're actually Ford branded too, so they've got a Ford insignia on them, so it's kind of nice. Go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead, Gary.
Packrat says there's some government buildings in Texas you can carry in and some you can't. Wood says, but going into the hospital, no check. Now, that depends on the hospital.
Yeah,
some of the bigger city hospitals do have metal detectors.
Like you try that at Allegheny General Hospital in Pittsburgh, and you're going to jail.
Sam says, better to have it, not need it and not have it. That's true, too. Wood says, I have a vault in my Wrangler. All right. Packrat says, I could go through a metal detector in my birthday suit and still beep. Yeah, some people have that luxury. I imagine Moo's probably that way now, too. These people with artificial joints and stuff like that.
Well, that depends.
And titanium balls.
The neurologist that did Amy's neck surgery, a lot of the replacement things, the titanium replacements I use, don't set off metal detectors now.
Yeah.
She have bolts in her neck, Rich?
She's got a metal plate. I don't know that much. Where a disc used to be.
Oh. I was just joking with you. Anyway.
Yeah, I know you were making a Frankenstein joke. I got where you were going.
So,
Amy doesn't listen to this show. Yes, sir.
Well, I was going to say, because I'm sure when I say, like, oh, any of these places that, are going to have a metal detector to ensure that you're disarmed when you go into their premises, I'm sure there's people out there that would say, that's crap, they shouldn't have to pay for that, you just leave it in your car. Well, here's the thing. I don't drive. So let's say I have business to take care of at the courthouse, and I get a ride into town at 6:30 a.m. from somebody that works in town, and then I go sit around Burger King or something for a few hours until the courthouse opens, and then I'm going to be just bumming around town all day, exploring, downtown. I get to make the decision of, do I disarm or do I just not go take care of that business?
And you can't take an Uber. It's against their policies to carry in an Uber.
Even if I did take an Uber, say, then what? Hey, Mr. Uber driver, can you hold on to this for me?
If you're concealed carrying, how's the Uber driver going to know anyway?
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, I get that. I'm just saying, from a legal standpoint, or from a company standpoint, is violation of Uber policy for customers and drivers. If you're a driver, you're not supposed to have one either. Now, I'm not going to tell if we have any Uber drivers out there. I'm not telling on you.
I would just like to say that whenever I take Uber, I like to let them know of all the policies and procedures that I'm violating immediately when I get in the vehicle.
Not only does he ruin chats, folks, he ruins car rides too, apparently.
Oh, you should see the back seats I've wrecked. Don't put a black light back there.
Wood says barbecue is an open carry, guys, so no Uber. Yeah, that's true. He doesn't do discreet.
When I've needed to, I have. I mean, there was one time that my daughter was injured in a wrestling tournament. We had to take her to the ER, get checked out, all that fun jazz. And I walk into the ER with her, and I was concealed carrying in a fanny pack. People can make fun of it all they want, but that thing has got me into places that you wouldn't believe. Concealed carrying in the fanny pack and walk into that hospital, and sure as shit. And I mean, it's not even the big city hospitals. It's around here. First off, everything is pretty much owned by Highmark or UPMC. There are very few private local hospitals anymore. Honestly, in my area, there's only two that I know of.
Here it's UPMC, University of Maryland, or WVU that owns everything. Yeah.
So here, if it's owned by Highmark or UPMC, guarantee it's going to have a metal detector. Which at this time, when I had entered this UPMC facility, was a new thing that they were starting to roll into all of their hospitals. I didn't know that. And we walk in, there's metal detectors. Like, oh, this is going to be fucking interesting. And take off the concealed carry fanny pack. I place it on the table and just kind of like slide it forward. And I go around to the side of the table. I just told the lady, go ahead, wand me. If I go through with my cane, it's got to set the thing off anyways. Which some metal detectors it sets off, other ones it doesn't. It's just easy to get friggin' wanded. And like she handed me my concealed carry fanny pack and didn't bat an eye. And went, sat down, and my daughter got looked at all that. But over the time that we were in the waiting room, still waiting for my daughter to get looked at, 5 other women, including her mother, had walked in, all with purses. And that security guard went through those purses with a fine-tooth comb. Like I said, mock the concealed carry fanny pack all you want. It gets looked over very easily.
Yeah. Now, what's crazy is the hospital Amy works at is a UPMC hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But they do not have UPMC's armed police because the state of Maryland won't license them. They have unarmed guards at that hospital.
The ones around here contract to security companies.
You go to the ones in Pittsburgh itself. They have their own police department. UPMC Medical Center has their own police department. There's 4 different police departments that are licensed to operate in the city of Pittsburgh itself. You got Pittsburgh Police, Pittsburgh School Police, University of Pittsburgh Police, and University of Pittsburgh Medical Center Police. All four are totally different organizations, and they all have complete and total police arrest powers anywhere in the city. Crazy, right?
Yep.
Denny says, yep, we've been in and out of hospitals many times in recent months, and my wife's purse gets inspected like she's trafficking drugs or explosives. Now, Grim Reaper Reviews is out there. He says, barbecue prison carries. That's what he means by fanny pack.
Oh, we had meet the teacher tonight at kids' schools. And with how long it was taking to get into the friggin' door at the elementary school, I thought for sure they had the metal detectors out, sending everybody through the friggin' metal detector. I was like, if you guys are seriously doing that right now, this is going to be such bullshit. And I was already prepared that when I went through the metal detector, I was going to say, cool, now that I passed that, do I get to keep all the drugs that are in my prison wallet? But they weren't doing that, so I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I forgot one. There's also the Housing Authority Police Department, Pittsburgh Housing Authority Police Department, which they're more hired armed security than they are actual police. They only have arrest powers in housing developments.
So Jacob S. just joined us. Good evening. Denny said that's pretty common in big cities in Texas, too. Packrat says the only hospital I've been to here is a VA and no metal detector. Yeah, ours doesn't have a metal detector either.
Yeah, the one here doesn't either.
But I'm still not real clear on the law. I know you're not supposed to have it in the hospital or your doctor's office or anything, but does that also apply to your dentist office? Does it apply to your eye doctor?
Well, I thought you could have it in
medical
a hospital.
Doctors.
You couldn't have it in psychiatric facility.
Yeah.
The problem is most hospitals these days technically have a psychiatric department attached, which creates a really big gray area.
Yeah, it's crazy here because we have campus carry here in West Virginia.
Yeah, we do.
But the old laws that limited carry on campuses still apply to the hospitals, and since all the hospitals are part of the university system in the state of West Virginia, every single one of them belongs to one university or another. Like Barbecue was saying, there's no private hospitals, so they all belong to a university. Therefore, they're all considered part of university campus, and campus carry doesn't apply to the hospitals. So you can't carry in any of the hospitals here.
And Denny says our VA doesn't have metal detectors either. My primary is officed in that building. Now, G-Web says I wear my gun to CAT scans. Don't care what their rules are.
I like to wear mine to MRIs.
Yeah, MRIs that would be fun.
Yeah, CAT scan, you're fine. It'll be an MRI where you'd have an issue.
When I do it, I normally appendix carry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's the way you got to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm joking. It's always prison. I'm going in for an MRI. It's always prison wallet.
G-Web says, I am a doctor of guns, so yeah, that's true. You are. Packrat says, but I don't carry there, talking about the VA, because federal felonies suck. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Now, here, unless your doctor's office is on the hospital campus, they can have a sign out front that says no guns. In the state of West Virginia, that sign holds no weight of law whatsoever. You know, all they can do is ask you to leave.
Same in PA.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of time here. I'm going to talk about another story real quick, if you guys will entertain me for a moment here. And we've talked about this before on somebody else's show, and of course, I get a pop-up ad as soon as I go to share it. This story says the Ninth Circuit upholds the California gun store surveillance requirement.
Of course, they do.
George Orwell's 1984 was supposed to serve as a warning, not an instruction manual. Still, in a world where Flock exists as a company, including its many other services, it's clear that a lot of people didn't get the freaking message. And California is unsurprisingly one of the biggest offenders. Imagine that. See, they don't just let flock cameras exist, but they also mandate surveillance at the local gun store. That's scary, and it's a system ready for abuse. It seems obvious to anyone who cares to look, unless, of course, they're a judge on the Ninth Circuit. Quoting here, federally licensed firearm dealers in California will still need to maintain a surveillance system after a Ninth Circuit panel ruled in favor of the state on Thursday. The plaintiffs, private licensed firearm dealers who operate out of storefronts and home businesses, say a state law passed in 2023 requiring the surveillance systems is a violation of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments. The law, California Penal Code Section 26806, requires the firearm dealers to maintain 24-hour video and audio surveillance systems on their business premises. The plaintiffs described the surveillance system requirement as a government-mandated eavesdropping device. The plaintiffs argued the surveillance systems violated their rights regardless of whether the state ever viewed the recordings. A federal judge in the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California dismissed the plaintiff's complaint for failure to state a claim in January 2025. In a 2-1 decision authored by U.S. Circuit Judge Lucy Coe, the Ninth Circuit affirmed the ruling. Beginning with the plaintiff's Fourth Amendment claims, Coe, a Joe Biden appointee, found the California law did not violate the constitutional rights in the plaintiff's complaint. Quoting her, the panel rejected plaintiff's contention that a search occurs the moment that a federally licensed firearm dealer's recording system begins to record any audio-visual data, Coe wrote. Plaintiffs failed to state a cognizable claim that Section 26806 violates the Fourth Amendment because plaintiffs failed to allege any physical intrusion or access recordings by the state and failed to allege that mere compliance with Section 26806 requirements transforms federally licensed firearms dealers into state actors, end quote. In other words, because video stays in one place rather than being collected even sporadically by authorities, it's not a Fourth Amendment violation. I think I see the reasoning too. Because it's just there, but kept on premises, it's not really usable by the state in any manner unless they come in to look. And periodic inspections aren't enough to trigger this because they're not looking at who's buying, just that the system works, I think. For what it's worth, I think the court is missing the bigger picture here. The issue is that because of all this surveillance is mandated, anyone who steps into a gun store or an FFL's home where he or she conducts business is automatically recorded by a system and into a format the state can demand at any time. In other words, it's a record of everyone who darkened a gun store's doorway. Considering how flock cameras work too, that's a terrifying combination, and one that would be handy as part of any gun confiscation scheme. If the Ninth Circuit can't see that, I don't know what to say. What do you think about that?
I think they're running into the same issue that California and Giffords ran into last week when we talked about their case being thrown out for not having cause to bring the lawsuit. If they haven't been actually harmed, in other words, if the Fed, the state, or whoever hasn't gone in there and surveilled and used that evidence against them, do they have a case to bring? Is there an injury? Because remember, when to bring a case before the court, you have to show that you have been in some way injured. It doesn't necessarily mean you were hurt. It could be financially, punitively, as in being arrested, what have you. You have to show that you have suffered some type of injury along those lines before you have cause to bring the lawsuit.
I think they could. Let's say what they need to argue is a warrantless wiretap. Let's say the government's saying you have to have these. Let's say, and at any time that we want, then we're going to go get a court subpoena and we just get the records then. Whether you want to give it up or not, we're going to get a subpoena and we're going to have those records. And you may have never wanted to have these in your shop or anything else, but we're going to just make you have them. So, I mean, it'd be no different than them just going and wiretapping the phone lines and anything else there, other than they're saying, we're doing it and there's nothing you can do to stop us.
Yeah. I see a problem with it. I 100% do. G-Web says only 9mm shooters should be tracked by the government. People who shoot decent calibers are obviously law-abiding. Let's see. Sam of Anarchy says, note to self, avoid Cali gun store like the plague. Packrat says, is that a surprise from the Ninth Circus? G-Web says, what if the state required video surveillance of jewelry stores and pawn shops and banks just so they can catch any burglars? Safety. There's probably enough of that anyway.
Most pawn shops and jewelry stores I've been in already have surveillance.
I guarantee you're being recorded in any Walmart you go into.
Mm-hmm. Any supermarket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Let's say, I'm not sure that there's ever been a gun shop that I've walked into. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's been a few, but I know I would say probably the majority of the gun shops that I've been into have surveillance cameras in the first place. And not only that, but the monitor where they can see the cameras is very seeable by customers. Kind of let you know, like, we've got these.
That's the thing. I mean, you got the difference between what you got at any other store is that with the firearm stores in California, they're mandating it where everybody else is just doing it on their own. But if these stores already had the cameras in them anyway,
it's one thing if the store's doing it to, protect themselves and their inventory and stuff like that. It's a whole nother deal if the government's doing it, though.
But it does cause another legal issue, though. Because if it's in common use by all these other stores anyway, and the states mandate different things for different stores already, as well as other areas. You're mandated to have a driver's license to drive a car. If they're mandating a camera system to have your business license for a gun store.
No,
I don't think the state has a right to do that. State doesn't license
but here's
gun store.
That's no different than the anti-gunners trying to say, well, barrel proofs are why all these things need to be serialized. That's the historical text and precedent. It's like, no, barrel proofs were not used for serialization for the government to trace. They're used so manufacturers can keep track of batches. And that was actually just put as an example, I think, by a Fifth Circuit District Court judge. Obviously, we're talking about the Ninth Circuit, but...
Yeah, I don't know if any of the circuit courts wouldn't have dismissed this lawsuit, to be honest with you. I don't think any of them would have let it stood. Because I don't think that just going purely by law. Remember, I'm playing devil's advocate here, guys, just so you know.
I realize what you're doing. I realize what you're doing, but what I'm saying is...
no, just making sure everybody understands.
I'm just saying, if cameras are illegal, then what's to stop them next from saying, hey, we need copies of all your 4473s because we don't want to have to go through all those things by hand if we have to do research for a crime. We want to put all that stuff in a database so we can get to it faster. Now, we won't get into it unless there's an actual crime. We promise.
If they think there's a crime involved, they can look at the 4473s. That's what they're doing here. If they think there's a crime, they can look at the surveillance video anyway. Any of these stores that have these surveillance systems already installed, they can get a subpoena and look at them whether the state mandated it or not.
100%. But then that was the business's prerogative to have those cameras.
And a lot of times those cameras are on a recording loop, like a 24-hour recording loop. They don't store that stuff forever.
Well, here's the real issue. If it's being mandated by the state, it's going to be, you have to get such and such recording system. It has to have these features. It's going to have to hook up to Flock, for example, or Ring, or whatever friggin' thing, where at the end of the day they're not even going to have to go to the gun shop. They'll just be able to go to that third party and say, hey, we need this footage. But then here's the thing. Unless it's just like, gun shop got broken into and robbed, we need the footage so we can, try and identify people. What are they really hoping to solve by being able to request this footage ever? Because let's say they're like, oh, well, this firearm was found at a crime scene and we know it was sold at this shop, by doing the trace and all that fun jazz. We want to see who bought it. So go back 3 years in footage. Who's keeping all that data? So the idea that you're just going to have this for what?
Here's another question. If they mandate these fancy recording devices, you think the state's going to pay for those? I don't think so.
Yeah, it would.
I think
nice
they're going to put that back on the business owners. Like, you got to have this, and you're paying for it.
Yeah,
and that gets passed on to the customer.
It'd be nice too if the article would have said how long this data has to be stored for.
They might not be saying.
That's true.
How long it has to be stored for, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And I did not do any research on it, so I don't know.
Let's say, I still say arguing, First, Fourth, Fifth Amendment grounds, because like Rich is saying, you have to be able to show that you were damaged. So until one of these shops were to be subpoenaed and stuff like that, at which time, but I think if they went the route of saying, no, this is a warrantless wiretap, there's your damage.
Except
Rich, the answer is 1 year. They have to be retained for 1 year. I just looked it up in the California Penal Code.
Yeah. It's not necessarily a wiretap. It's just a surveillance camera that every other place has anyway. So
surveillance.
And they probably would have even if there wasn't a law.
Is it only recording video, or is it recording audio also?
Video and audio.
Which, depending on state law, doesn't matter, because you can have single entity approval for the audio. So if that's California state law, where it's a single entity, the government
is the one mandating it.
It's still not a wiretap.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. If it's a device that's recording something, that's not a wiretap. If it's being recorded local, that is not a wiretap.
Rich, let me talk. So if you go to California and California says, you know what, we want to listen to Rich's phone calls,
that's a different situation.
No, because it's the government doing it. That's what I'm saying.
That's not the same thing.
The only thing that's different here is the government saying.
You're missing one thing. In public, the courts have already determined you don't have privacy while you're out in public somewhere. If you're in a public store, you don't have
privately owned shop
privacy. The store owner has privacy. The customers don't. The
it's a privately owned shop, and the government's telling him he has to have the stuff. They're not telling the citizens that you can only go to shops that have this. They're not telling the citizens that you have to take these cameras strapped to you whenever you go to the gun shop. No, they're telling the shop owners of these privately owned businesses.
The shop owner themselves are not telling the customer. The customer can see that the camera's in there. If they don't want to go in, they don't have to.
They have to display.
They're requiring a private person that owns a business.
And there are other forms of security that businesses are required to have. Insurance, for example. They will use the same argument for why you have to have business insurance. Why, if you're a private investigator, for example, you have to have a $2,000 bond to get your license. They will use that same rationale for why these gun stores have to have these cameras. I guarantee you that's what they're going to argue in court, if it even goes that far. And I'm not saying I'm in favor of these cameras. Somebody's got to play the opposite side here, or we're going to have one hell of a yep, I agree situation. So
please equate how they would use that same argument like for bonds or liability insurance.
Because that's what they're going to say. It's a liability, so they have to have these cameras to take care of this liability if that store is broken into and robbed.
G-Web says all gun shops have a camera. Then how would one choose another shop? Rich is wrong.
And the liability is solved with the insurance, not by recording.
I'm saying what they're going to. I'm not saying that this is my idea, barbecue. I'm telling you what they're going to argue.
What I'm saying
Because
is the argument is this.
I guarantee you that's what they
I
argued when they
realize
first implemented it.
that they would fight it tooth and nail. I realize that. But what I'm saying is, because you're saying, oh, it's not a warrantless wiretap. I'm saying it is. Because it is, because they're requiring
no, they're not tapping
private
anything.
business
It's being
owner.
recorded it's being recorded in store. That's not a wiretap.
They're demanding that a
wiretap
business
would have to be them.
Will you let me talk?
Well, let me talk. You said your point about.
I'm trying to make the friggin' point already,
and I'm saying why it's not.
I wish I had popcorn.
They would have to be externally tapping it. They're not doing that. It's being recorded in store.
So the government
through the service that the store uses. It's not the government that's recording it. Therefore, it's not a wiretap.
So again, so the government can just tell us all that we have to record all of our phone conversations. That way, if at any time they want to subpoena our phone conversations, they can do so.
You do realize that
that's the same thing.
Information is already being recorded by the phone company.
That's not the point, Rich.
That is the point. They can go into the phone company anytime with a subpoena and get your phone records. That's all they would be doing here. The same thing.
So the phone companies are recording private conversations, like phone calls, etc.
No, that's the NSA.
I realize like text messages, things like that are recoverable, but I'm saying government just passes a law that says, hey,
you're not going to get any judge to buy into it's a.
I'm sure you can get plenty of judges too.
No, I don't. No, I don't think you're going to get a judge that's going to say no. That's a wiretap. It's not a wiretap. It doesn't meet the definition of wiretap. You could get them to say it's an illegal recording. You're not going to get them to say it's an illegal wiretap. It's a totally different conversation.
You're arguing semantics there at that point, Rich. Come on.
Which is exactly what you're going to get in court. You're going to get an argumentation over semantics. Because that's what a lot of technicalities.
Instead of calling it an illegal wiretap, let's just say it's an illegally required recording. Like, come on.
It's not the same thing.
Look,
a lot of technicalities in court are thrown out based simply on semantics. When you're going into court, you better make sure you have your terminology on your complaint.
Just right, in fucking 10 minutes like we are. No, they're going to be making all kinds of fucking money, have months to fucking plan out their whole fucking argument. But you want to fucking nitpick over the littlest fucking thing
That's
here?
what they're going to do.
On.
That is what they're going to do. Whenever we get a case where we say, they're throwing out on a technicality, it could be one word wrong on a warrant, and that can get a whole case thrown out.
No shit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying here. You go in with an argument saying this is a wiretap, you're going to get a judge look at this and say this isn't a wiretap. Because it's not. It doesn't meet the definition.
You just said that they can argue that it's an illegal recording.
Maybe. That's if you can convince them of that. But you're not going to convince them. You're not going to convince them that it's a wiretap. That is the wrong.
So again, I'm saying forget the fucking wiretap and move on to your illegal recording.
Fine,
you want to say?
But all my point was you can't use the case that's a wiretap because that's going to get it's thrown out. That's all I was saying. You got to make sure when you're bringing one of these cases, you have the right terminology.
Oh my fucking god! I'm so fucking tired of wasting my fucking breath.
That's all my point was. If you got to make sure you have the right terminology, or they're going to toss it. We see it happen all the time. Whenever we complain that something was thrown on a technicality, that's all it is semantics. Somebody put the wrong word on a search warrant, and that whole case gets tossed. But gee whiz, it doesn't matter. That's what the point I'm trying to get across here. It doesn't matter if it's glitched in the phrase. You put a glitch on a phrase on a court document, and then they're going to toss it, especially if it's like a search warrant or some such thing. They're going to toss it on a technicality. It happens all the time. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't use that it's a bug. It's not.
Okay. I'm going to call timeout right here. So, looks like we've had somebody depart anyway. So anyway, we're far enough into this. I think we need to talk about something else for a while. And it so happens we do have other stuff to talk about because Gear Websites is your source for every second matters, gun channels, gear, ammo ID, and more. They have patches, stickers, and other items. Did you know that? And did you know that every Friday is Free Patch Friday? So buy cool stuff at GearWebsites.com.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Oh, who's the chicken that everyone loves? Gizzard Gary, who's 4'2" but stands above. Gizzard Gary, a ton of ex-wives and more to come. Gizzard Gary, who loves to give gifts to everyone. Gizzard Gary, giveaway. Gizzard Gary, giveaway. Gizzard Gary, giveaway.
Hi, folks. Gizzard Gary here. All right. Well, after all that hot and bothered action there, we do have a giveaway. This is the Fowl Territory prize giveaway, and we are giving away a pack of stickers. I've got lots of stickers, a few patches to give away, maybe even a bumper sticker thrown in there. If you're a channel member, I will also add a $10 Chick-fil-A gift card or gift card wherever you would like to go. If you want something other than Chick-fil-A, just say so. We got 14 people entered in the giveaway. We got 18 people watching. I'll give everybody a few seconds to enter, and then we will draw a winner. Let everybody cool off a little bit. Let's see. 1K. Okay, so we got Kentucky Rimfire Justin out there. Let's see. Packer. Whoa. This chat's jumping on me. Pack Rat says, Sam, I used to work at a gun store. We only recommended the cashier and exits. G-Web says Rich was hot and barbecue was bothered. Alex Parlin is out there. Let's see. We got 16 people entered in the giveaway, so I think let's go ahead and do the drum roll, and then we will go ahead and pick a winner. So here we go. All right. So who will be the winner of the Fowl Territory prize giveaway this week? The winner is Pack Rat's Attic. Oh my God. Imagine that. Pack Rat's Attic. Wow. I get to send something to his new address. If he's out there. DJ Play Nice is out there, by the way.
Then he's got a point. You said anywhere they want. So Sager, Smith & Wesson. They do have stores where you can get gift cards.
Do they have gift cards?
I don't know if they have
a $10 gift card
or not. You get yourself a T-shirt or something.
I am not seeing any response from Pack Rat's Attic.
There's Mrs. Pack Rat.
Mrs. Pack Rat's out there. Maybe she's claiming it. New address, please. Oh, yeah, you'll need to send that to me. I don't have your new address. I don't think you have you? Well, you may have, but yeah, send it to me again, would you please? Ozzy says, well, crap, my laptop just took a crap. That's not good at all. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. All right. So
you know what's crazy?
What?
Barbecue and I didn't swear at each other once.
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did, too.
No, we didn't. No, neither one of us said a bad word.
I will call on the attendees of the chat out there. Did any of you hear any foul language in there? Because I certainly did.
I didn't say anything bad. I don't recall him saying anything bad.
Guns and Barbecue said, I said
did he?
F like 3 times.
Okay,
I
well,
thought so.
Barbecue did. I didn't. I did not catch him saying it, honestly.
I can't wait to see the replay. I think you did. I think you're both guilty.
No, I didn't say it. No, I kept it clean.
DJ says, all I heard was FFF tuned out. Then he says, oh my, Barbecue was saying every curse word in the book.
I must have just tuned out him saying bad words because I don't recall him saying any of them.
You guys let your emotions get the best of you. You forgot to be civil. It's okay to disagree, but we need to be civil with one another. If you guys want to have a match in the main ring or something like that, I'm sure we could arrange to do that. That could be interesting if you two would wrestle, seeing as you're both wrestling fans. I would like to get you two on the mat.
The worst part is I agreed with Barbecue. Just arguing the other side because
you just
didn't
agree with him enough. Problem was, and you guys like to argue with each other, and you lose.
That. When I was in college, we had to learn. There was one class where we actually had to argue from both sides. One week we had to write a paper from one side of an argument, and the next week we had to write a response to the original paper to that first one we wrote. So you learn in going through the college.
Would it be fair to say that you're a master debater? Oh gosh. All right.
I honestly do not recall Barbecue saying anything bad. So.
I'll make the transcript available. It takes a few hours for the transcript to become available, but I can't wait to see it once it comes out. If it can translate that. Gosh, if I had $1 for each word, I might have made some money tonight.
Well, Barbecue said he only said 3 times. So.
But I think we need to
make
move on. We need. Well, I'm sure we weren't keeping count or anything like that. But we're done with that anyway, and we're going to go on to something else here. So let's do this. All right, it's time for the Show Us Your GORN segment. I think you guys know the deal by now. Send those to GORN at GizzardGary.com or put them in the Discord in the GORN channel. That's the easiest way. Either way, I'll put them on the screen, and we'll go with that. So DJ says 50-1 odds on Barbecue winning a wrestling match. Schedule that bout. Barbecue said that was civil. I just have better things to do than sit there while Rich tries to split hairs. I have a beautiful woman I could be talking to and 1,500 photos to edit. Grim Reaper says, better get a new highlighter, Gary. Yeah, I know, right? All right. So speaking of Justin, I've got a couple things from Justin. I told him he had to wait a few days on this because out of respect for the recently departed, I didn't want to show this last week, but I think it's been long enough now. We can do this. So, Dolly Parton's coffin revealed. Wow. I think they're a little bit too far up.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. And this is from the other day, but I'm going to go ahead and repeat it again. So it says, at this point, I'd trust a lady selling tamales out of her trunk in a parking lot more than I trust the FDA to keep my food safe. There you go. I think that's fair.
Wasn't that one we saw last week?
We showed it last Wednesday.
Okay.
It came in on the 26th, so it wasn't a full week ago. I kind of try to keep track of things.
Yeah,
now,
I knew we saw it before. I just couldn't remember which day.
Packrat says he sent an email. Yes, I did get your new address. Thank you very much for doing that, by the way. Let's go to the Discord because that's it for emails for now. Not that we might not have stuff later. DM Foss put this in earlier, and I'm not real sure what it means. Ozzy says she did claim she had them lifted. Well, that's true.
Yeah, but that's a little too far.
Well, might be. Something ain't working here. What in the world? Oh, because you're sharing Discord, Gary. There we go. Okay, so from DM Foss again, it says, my tummy hurts and I'm mad at the government. Does anybody know what that refers to? Did I miss something? Did I miss an inside joke somewhere? I may have.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Let's see. This from the other day. This is him eating pineapple pizza, which, yeah, I told him, I said, that's what you get for eating pineapple pizza. My tummy would hurt too if I eat pineapple pizza. So. Let's see. Everything else in there is a week old, so that might be it, folks. I tell you what.
That might have been in reference to, yeah, because if you looked at what he posted underneath, or somebody posted underneath, that's what you get for eating the pine. Yeah. So, yep, that would probably be what
that was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Denny said there are people selling food out of their cars all over this part of the world. They also post all over Facebook selling plates. They will set up on the side of the road and sell menudo. Crazy. I remember we used to buy tamales in San Antonio, and they had stands set up in various parking lots and stuff like that, were they? These were regular chains, but they had different stations set up where you could go pick them up and stuff. So, Backrat says, I'm not allowed pineapple anymore. Oh, that's okay, especially if you're eating pizza. You don't want the two of them together. It's just wrong.
He said last week it's because of his kidney issues.
Right.
I have kidney issues, and I was never told I couldn't have pineapple. So
maybe you don't have the same issue.
Yeah, I know. It's like, that's why it was odd when he said that. I was like, really?
Well, if you want to argue with Packrat, I'm sure we can send him a link and get him.
I'm just saying that just seemed odd because I've never been told I couldn't have it. So I was like, oh. that just caught me off guard when he said it.
If you're just looking for somebody to fight with. I'm not going to fight with you. I know better.
I'm just saying that was just one of those things me go, huh, interesting. Because they said that was not one of the food restrictions I was given. Pineapple wasn't one.
I'm sure there are.
I got to watch my protein intake, but that's.
There are different ailments, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So, Packrat says some of the best food is from food trucks. I'm not saying, the tamales that I've had were pretty damn good. I won't lie to you. But if you're going to buy Mexican food, San Antonio is a pretty safe place. I mean, if you're in Las Vegas, I don't know. It might be all right. But is there football on tonight? No, not till.
No.
This is the first week of the regular season, I believe, but this weekend, right? Or is it next weekend?
Next weekend.
I can't remember. Next weekend? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little early. Okay. Let's see. Packrat says pineapples block protein, and that's what my kidney issue is. Okay.
See, I gotta watch my protein intake. So, according to my nephrologist, so it's the opposite.
Kentucky Rimfire Justice says tomato is a fruit. Let's argue. You want to take that one, Rich?
Tomato
He's
is
correct,
fruit.
by
It's a
the way.
member of the berry family.
Tomato berries, yeah. Alex Parlin says in LA, they don't enforce food safety ordinances on the illegals selling food on the streets. Denny says, I'm not talking about food trucks. You will have someone's aunt selling out of their hatchback. No sanitation, no permit, no taxes paid. Risk your gut health. Yeah. During construction out the plant, there used to be this, I think he was one of the construction workers. I forget what his name was, but he would bring in a cooler every day, and he had tamales that he'd made the night before. His wife, I guess, made them all wrapped in aluminum foil, and he sold them. Everybody who bought them said they were good, so I don't know. Probably fine. You just don't know. Of course, restaurants nowadays with all the E. coli and food poisoning and stuff going on, you wonder if eating restaurant food is safe. And even grocery store food, with the produce being bad, lettuce issues and stuff. It's like you just aren't safe no matter what, unless you grow it yourself. And then you got pesticides leaking onto your property and stuff like that. So what do? You got to eat something,
Some of those lettuce issues were because the farms weren't properly taking care of different pest problems with different animals getting in there and urinating and whatnot on the produce, and it's causing issues.
Yuck.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about somebody whose most of their diet is produce, and here you're telling me that animals and insects are.
That's why they tell you to wash it before you eat it.
Well, I always do.
Yeah.
Always do. But yeah, that's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
Denny says the produce problems are usually tied to fertilizer, cow manure, animal urine, etc., or pesticides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much what Rich said. So I don't have any more GORN, so we may just have to go straight to the last segment, which is what did you learn? Well, you know what happens there. That's where we ask our panelist, the one panelist we have left because he ran off the other panelist. We're going to ask him what he learned in tonight's show, and then we're going to let him promote his channel or whatever. And so, Rich, you've got the floor, all the time you need. What did you learn this evening?
I learned sometimes it is possible to make barbecue leave without having to pay $100 super chats.
Oh, oh, that was mean. That was mean, and he's not here to defend himself either.
He was out in the chat.
He was. I doubt if he's going to bother to respond.
No, but it was meant as a joke. It was making good humor.
Yeah, I know. So what have you got coming up on the Unload Media channel?
We do this show this week Unloaded, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we talk about all kinds of stuff on there. Talked about a few different gun-related issues last night. So if you haven't seen last night's episode, go back and watch and be one of the over 1,000 people that have actually watched that episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's surprising.
Damn good episode, evidently. Actually, I thought it went fairly well. So not that well, but hey. This one ain't going to get 1,000 views. I haven't even had 20 people in here tonight. Evidently, they like barbecue. They had better stuff to do. Guns Barbecue says, didn't run me off. Don't try and give him that satisfaction. Beautiful woman or argue with Rich because he wants to split hairs. Fair enough. I would make that decision too. He says, which would you choose? Yeah. See, Packrat's Addict says tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, and most of them are deadly poison. I don't think tomatoes are deadly poison. If they are, I'm slowly poisoning
there was a ban on tomatoes way back in the day because they thought that they were dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is true. Danny says, okay, I'm pooped and work starts early. Good night, folks. Good night, Danny. Wow, the goddamn bacon is out there. Looky there. I haven't even had 20 people in here tonight quoting me. Giz 2026 comments out of context. That's really not that uncommon on this show. Not that popular. Not like Rich White, obviously, but we do try to keep it entertaining. And I appreciate Bacon being out there. I try to jump in on his show whenever I stay up late enough to check in on his show. Let's put it that way.
The last few weeks, our viewership has gone up, but not to where I was expecting to get 1,100 views this last episode. We've been over 100 the last 3 weeks. And then this week it just spiked. That was a crazy number. I was like,
whatever you did, keep doing it. That's all I gotta say. Maybe it's because you had me on a panel, but then I'm usually always on a panel, so I can't even claim that. But I appreciate you being on here tonight. So anyway, with that, let's see. Packrat says, I now will have a mail call video later this week, just not sure what room I'm going to do it in. Okay, cool. So I get to be part of the first mail call video from the new house. Excellent. Very cool. All righty, so check out Packrat's Attic channel. And I'd like to thank everybody out there for watching tonight, whether you watched on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitch. I appreciate you being here. If you're watching the replay, thank you for doing that too. If I get 1,000 people watching the replay, that'd be great. Just saying. But anyway, thanks, Rich, for being here. Thanks, everybody out there in the audience. And a special thanks to all you channel members out there for what you do to support the channel every week. I certainly do appreciate it. Speaking of channel members, every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, right after Ron Wayne's members chat, we have a members only chat where I give away one of the pocket knives that I've reviewed in the past. So that's one of the advantages of being a channel member on my channel. And those memberships start at $1.99 a month. So if you're interested, please consider becoming a channel member. So with that, we'll be back for Fowl Territory again next week, every Monday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central. So hope you can be there. So thanks for being here tonight. And remember that if anyone tries to infringe on your right to keep and bear arms, give them the bird. This is Gizzard Gary. Rich, let's tell everybody good night, and then let's get out of here.
good night, Gracie.
Who's Gracie?
I don't know. I was doing the opposite.
Oh, okay. Good night, folks.